Mercedes-Benz, sometimes known as Benz, Mercedes, or Merce, is a well-known brand as it's conceivable to have in the automobile sector. Mercedes evokes much more than just automobiles at the mention of the name. Such brand identity and recognition, which may be equally linked to dependability and elegance, do not come lightly. However, Mercedes has had a lot of time to build its image as the world's longest continuously produced nameplate. We look at Mercedes-Benz history in this video. The history of Mercedes dates back to the development of the internal combustion engine in 1886. Only 60 miles separated the two places in southwest Germany where this happened. Karl Benz created a gasoline-powered automobile, and Gottlieb Daimler and Wilhelm Maybach created a gasoline-powered stagecoach. The works of the two parties were unknown to one another. In 1889, Daimler and Maybach created the first four-wheel gasoline vehicle and established DMG. This stood for Daimler Motor Gesellschaft. In 1890, DMG started selling vehicles. After closely following their lead, Benz created his first four-wheeler in 1891. His company, Benz & Cie, was the biggest automaker in the world by 1900. The earliest Mercedes-branded products were a range of DMG sport vehicles named Mercedes, after Emil Jellink's wealthy businessman and racing fan daughter. Up until 1924, they carried on as independent contractors. Then, as a result of the First World War's economic effects, the rivals started working together. They officially united to establish Daimler-Benz AG after 2 years. The business then started making vehicles and trucks under the Mercedes-Benz brand. The two businesses merged with great success, and by 1927, 7,000 Mercedes-Benz vehicles were being produced every year. They quickly rose to the position of industry leaders, and it was only with introduction of the imposing and illustrious Mercedes-Benz W15 that Mercedes-Benz was established as a distinct business under Daimler-Benz AG. A few years later, the W15 Cabriolet was introduced, and the W23 was their first small family vehicle. The 260D model was introduced in 1936 and is well known for being the first passenger car to run on diesel. In the 1930s, Mercedes introduced some popular vehicles, including the W138 limousine and the Spawn Roadster. Mercedes-Benz experienced a difficult time during World War II, as was the case with many German companies of the time. For its part in the Nazi war effort, it was dependent on forced labor, including that of prisoners of war. Even concentration camps were used to house striking employees. On the Daimler website, it stated that over half of their 63,610 employees were either concentration camp inmates or prisoners of war who were compelled to work as civilians. People continued to drive vehicles even though car production was halted to support the war efforts. From 1930 through 1943, Mercedes-Benz built a huge luxury automobile known as the 770. High-ranking Nazi officials, including Hermann Grün, Heinrich Himmler, Reinhard Heydrich, and Adolf Hitler, were known to use this vehicle. A limousine, a touring car, and cabriolet were among the available vehicle types. The 770K had bodywork and glass that were both mine and bulletproof. Daimler-Benz also produced an LG3000 truck and the DB600 and DB601 aircraft engines. Daimler-Benz acknowledged its ties to the Nazi dictatorship after the war, joined the Remembrance, Responsibility and Future campaign, and provided $12 million in compensation to the families of the laborers. The remaining 770s are either in the possession of private individuals or are housed in museums. One is at Ottawa, while the other is in a museum of German automobiles. One of Hitler's 770Ks belonged to an unidentified Russian millionaire as of 2009. He had paid several millions for it. After the war, Mercedes-Benz recovered remarkably well thanks to robust exports and a stranglehold on diesel-powered commercial cars. After introducing the 170V, they resumed making automobiles. The 190 and 300 SL two of Mercedes-Benz's best-looking vehicles were introduced in the 1950s. The 300L was the first automobile in production to use fuel injection. The 220, 230, and 600, sometimes known as the W100, continue to be successful in the 1960s. The company's first automobile was constructed in 1919 and released as a manufacturing model 2 years later. The firm created luxury automobiles between 1921 and 1940 that are now largely considered classics. Maybach was purchased by Daimler-Benz in 1960 and used to build limited edition Mercedes vehicles. With the production of the Maybach 57 and 62, Maybach evolved into a luxury brand. They could not, however, compete with brands like Bentley and Rolls-Royce. Others claimed that because they didn't distinguish between Maybach and Mercedes, they lacked the sensation of exclusivity that Rolls-Royce and Bentley had. Some claimed that this was because they had poor driving characteristics. Maybach's manufacture halted in 2012 to make place for new vehicles in the Mercedes S-Class lineup. This, however, did not last long, as in 2014, Mercedes announced that they were bringing back the Maybach nameplate and putting it next to the AMG series. In 2015, the Mercedes Maybach S600, their top model, was launched. The early 1970s and the late 1980s saw the start of the smart car's engine. The Swatch was designed by Nicholas G. Hayek, who also had an idea for a city automobile, but when he got close to Volkswagen, he was shot. So he met Mercedes instead. In October 1998, Daimler-Benz introduced the first model, the Swatch Mercedes Art. Cooperation between Swatch and Mercedes is where the moniker Smart originates. Swatchmobile was one of the suggested names, so let's be thankful for Smart. The Smart City Coupe, Smart Crossblade, Smart 4.4, and Smart 4.2 are among the available models. The smart car has undoubtedly divided people throughout the years it's been in production, with some expressing utter contempt and others falling in love. The high-performance arm of Mercedes-Benz is called Mercedes-AMG. It was first developed as a racing engine in 1967 by Forder Mercedes engineers. It later grew to include producing unique road vehicles based on Mercedes vehicles. They also created a variety of upgrade and accessory packages initially. In the 1980s, they also provided a range of engine performance packages. These unauthorized upgrade packages persisted until Daimler-Benz realized they could greatly profit from the modified vehicles and upgrade packages in the 1990s. They agreed to work together in a 1993 contract. As a result, AMG gained access to Daimler-Benz dealer network and began creating cars like the Mercedes-Benz C36 AMG. AMG's name was changed to Mercedes-AMG GmbH in 1999 after Daimler Chrysler, as it was known at the time, purchased 51% of the company's shares. The Mercedes-Benz AMG range continues to create increasingly more opulent versions of the company's regular vehicles. Every AMG engineer builder stamps their signature on each hand-built engine they produce. There are reportedly just 50 AMG engine manufacturers. The establishment of Daimler Chrysler, also referred to as the merger of equals, occurred in 1998. This $38 billion agreement was the largest cross-border transaction in history. The Chrysler Crossfire, which was based on the Mercedes SLK, the Mercedes 3.2L V6, and the Dodge Sprinter was a few of the vehicles made at this time. But after Daimler decided to sell Chrysler to Cerebrius Capital Management in 2007, the marriage made in heaven continued. Since before Mercedes-Benz was one firm, Mercedes has long been a force in auto racing. They were successful with Team McLaren as well as the Paris-Roubaix and Mille-Miglia. Mercedes occasionally withdrew entirely from motorsport, most notably following the disastrous 1955 Le Mans race. 83 spectators and the driver were killed when a Mercedes-Benz 300 SLR slammed into another vehicle and shot into the stands. As of right now, it's the worst accident in the annals of motorsport. You already know that Mercedes is still quite well liked nowadays. Although it's most known for its enormous, luxurious passenger cars, the firm has a long history with buses, more affordable automobile models, and racing and sports vehicles. The last three are more popular outside of the US because Mercedes has only ever been a luxury brand there. The most recent innovation they introduced was Vision Tokyo, a self-driving electric van fueled by hybrid hydrogen fuel cell technology. They've continued to stay at the forefront of innovation. There are many different car models available today, ranging from the A-Class to the S-Class, with numerous variants in between. It was all about the history of Mercedes. What do you think about Mercedes? Tell us in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel Car History and hit the bell icon as a priority basis to show your appreciation for our channel. Goodbye.